First up, the heavyweights, gorillas. One look at a silverback and you know who's boss. They can weigh over 400 pounds and snap thick branches like toothpicks. But here's the surprise. They are actually gentle giants. They don't run around fighting all day. They spend their time eating veggies and napping. The silverback leader is less of a tyrant and more of a peacekeeper, protecting his family and settling arguments. They prove that true strength is about being calm, not just scary. When you think of king of the jungle, you might think of a lion. But in the ape world, the heavy crown belongs to the gorilla. When you see a male gorilla, known as a silverback because of that iconic patch of gray hair on his back, your first instinct might be fear. And I don't blame you. These guys are tanks. At night, they make nests out of leaves on the ground to sleep in. Basically giant, fluffy, eco-friendly beds. So remember, they look like monsters, but they have the souls of gentle giants. But while the gorilla is happy living a quiet life on the ground, our next relative prefers a life of chaos in the trees. If gorillas are the calm grandpas of the forest, chimpanzees are the energetic, chaotic teenagers. We share about 98% of our DNA with them, and honestly, it shows. Chimps live in huge communities that can have up to 100 members, and their social life is intense. It's like a high school drama, but in the trees. They have best friends, enemies, and complex alliances. To become the alpha, or leader, a male chimp doesn't just need big muscles, he needs friends. He has to shake hands, groom the right people, and kiss babies. It's basically politics. But what really makes chimps special is their brains. They are one of the only animals on Earth that make their own tools. I don't mean just picking up a stick. I mean they will find a branch, strip off the leaves to make it smooth, and use it as a fishing pole to dip into termite mounds. They pull it out covered in bugs, a protein snack. They even use rocks as hammers to crack open hard nuts. They are problem solvers, hunters, and highly emotional beings. They can laugh when they play, but they can also hold grudges. They are fascinating, but they can also be aggressive. However, imagine if you took a chimp, but removed all the anger and replaced it with peace. Well, nature actually did that. This brings us to the bonobo. For a long time, scientists thought bonobos were just smaller chimpanzees. But they were wrong. Bonobos are a totally different species, and their vibe is completely unique. If you dropped a sandwich in a group of chimps, they might fight over it. If you dropped it in a group of bonobos, they would likely split it and share. Bonobos are famous for being the peacemakers of the jungle. They live in the Congo Basin, and unlike the male-dominated world of chimps, bonobo society is run by the females. It's a matriarchy. The females form tight bonds and stop the males from getting too aggressive. And how do they solve problems? Affection. If two bonobos get into an argument, they don't fight, they hug it out, literally. They use touch, grooming, and comfort to lower stress levels in the group. They're incredibly empathetic, too. Scientists have seen bonobos try to help injured birds or share food with strangers, which is super rare in the animal kingdom. So, we've met the loud social apes of Africa. But to find the next member of our family, we have to leave this continent entirely and fly thousands of miles to the quiet forests of Asia. Looking up into the thick canopy of Borneo and Sumatra, you might see a flash of bright orange. This is the orangutan, and they're the complete opposite of the loud crowds we just left behind. The name literally means person of the forest in the Malay language, and when you look into their eyes, you can see why. Unlike the loud social chimps and gorillas, orangutans are introverts. They are semi-solitary, meaning they prefer to spend time alone or with just their babies. They are the largest tree-dwelling animals on Earth. Imagine a creature as heavy as a human swinging 100 feet in the air. Because they're so heavy, they can't rush. They move with slow, calculated precision, testing every branch before they grab it. They are the engineers of the forest. I love this fact. Orangutans have been seen making umbrellas out of big leafy branches to keep the rain off their heads. Their childhood is also incredibly long. A baby orangutan stays with its mom for 7 to 8 years. That's longer than almost any other animal. The mom has to teach them everything: which fruits are poisonous, how to build a sleeping nest high in the trees, and how to use tools. It's a long, slow education for a very deep thinker. But being heavy means you have to move slowly. What happens if you trade that bulk for pure explosive speed? You get the gibbon. Now, scientists call these the lesser apes because they are smaller than the great apes, but I think their superpower makes them just as cool. Gibbons are the acrobats of the jungle. While the orangutan climbs carefully, the gibbon launches itself. They move using a technique called brachiation. That's a fancy science word for swinging arm over arm. But they don't just swing, they fly. They can clear gaps of 50 feet in a single leap, moving as fast as 35 miles per hour through dense branches. Their arms are actually longer than their legs to help them do this. If they walked on the ground, they'd have to hold their hands up in the air just to stop them from dragging. But my favorite thing about gibbons, they are the singers of the forest. Gibbons usually mate for life, forming a close bond like a married couple. Every morning, the mom and dad sing a loud, complex duet together. It echoes through the forest to tell other gibbons, "Hey, this is our house, and we are a happy family." It is one of the most beautiful sounds in nature. But speaking of sound, the gibbon has a bigger cousin who takes loud to a whole new level. Meet the siamang. They are the largest type of gibbon, and they are impossible to ignore. Why? Because of something called the gular sac. See that loose flap of skin on their throat? When they call, they inflate that sac like a giant balloon. Sometimes it gets as big as their own head. This acts like a natural amplifier, a built-in boombox that lets their calls travel for miles across the dense jungle canopy. They use this to talk to their neighbors without ever leaving their favorite tree. Siamangs are super tight-knit families. The dad plays a huge role in raising the kids, carrying the baby around while the mom rests or eats. They spend their days grooming each other, swinging, and screaming their lungs out. They are loud, they are proud, and they are basically the alarm clock of the rainforest.